mistakenly thought that we were only going to have 4 of these this month, but there are 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in October this year. So we lucked out. This is the 4th installment of this Spooky Reddit series, and there will be one more next week. Yay! I've been really enjoying finding these spooky stories for you guys, so I hope that you're enjoying listening to them. I have 4 stories tapped up for us today, and they're all from either the paranormal subreddit or the true scary story subreddit. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into some spooky stories. Okay, this first one is called The Blue Visitors. I would like to start out by saying I don't expect anyone to believe this story, because if it didn't happen to me, I probably wouldn't have believed it either. I don't have proof of what happened or the things that have happened since, but this is real. This starts back in 2019. My then fiance was out of state for work. I was home alone with our 3 children. I started seeing odd lights in the night sky. This went on nightly for roughly a week straight. After a long summer Friday, I got in bed. Even though I was exhausted, I had a hard time falling asleep. I was tossing and turning. After about 2 hours of this, I finally fell into what felt like a deep sleep. But then, I was awoken by something suddenly. I felt like something was in my bedroom with us. I was facing the wall opposite the door with my 3 children in my sight. My mind racing, wondering if my home had been broken into, like the houses a couple blocks away. I rolled over, laid there, and simply listened, but heard nothing. I still couldn't shake the feeling that something was there. Then I see a figure, but I couldn't make out what it was. By my judgment, I'd have enough time to grab our pew-pew before it got me and the kids. I tried to get up, but I was frozen like a stone. A wave of panic came over me. That's when I hear the most soothing, calming voice. It said, "We're not going to hurt anyone." Just thinking about it all these years later still gives me chills. I went from panicked to no longer afraid, as my eyes adjusted to the darkness and I saw another figure standing with the first, and 2 smaller ones. At the time, I thought maybe they were children. They started to talk quietly, but I couldn't make out the words. The main figure took a step towards me, and I saw the most beautiful blue glow. It was coming off the figure as if every vein in its body glowed. In response, the other figures started to glow blue as well. I couldn't make out very good facial features in the moment, but I can tell you, these were not humans. I remember telling myself to wake up. Maybe this was some crazy dream, but deep down, I knew I was conscious and very awake. The thing that stuck with me then, and sticks with me now, is how beautiful they were, and how at peace I felt, if that makes sense. Then, I'm not sure exactly what happened next, if I blacked out or what, but when I regained consciousness, I wasn't in my bedroom anymore. I was laying on my back, staring at a metallic, shiny ceiling. Whatever I was laying on was extremely cold. I couldn't move anything but my eyes. I've still never felt the cold like I did that night. I felt exposed in a way, but not naked like some of the abduction stories I've heard. It was a different type of exposed, like they knew me. These things knew my every thought. I rotated my eyes to the left as far as I could. I could barely see the tall figure that was in my room with me. I don't know how I knew it time spoke, but I couldn't hear what he said. Then, the female said loudly, in the back of her mind, hidden away, she knows she's safe, as she stroked my long amber hair. The mean creature said she was alone except for the children. That's when I got a flash in my mind, almost like a memory, but I could see my children asleep in my bed, with the 3 other creatures standing in the room, as if they were watching over them. The female then said, they'll be together soon, and we'll check in. It comes without me saying, but I felt really weird. I started feeling as if maybe I knew this place. That's when the female interrupts my thought. She says, oh, there it is. But after this, she will fall into a deep sleep. She won't remember it, or it'll all just be a dream. I felt a sudden burst of cold in my left arm, like I was getting an IV. It didn't hurt though. Next thing I remember, I was coming to, sitting up in my bed. I checked out my children to make sure they were okay. Then I got out of bed and started for the bathroom. I needed to process what I'd just seen and felt. I felt groggy and couldn't stand very well. I had to hang on to the furniture and the walls, as if gravity was new to me. After getting into the bathroom, I didn't turn on the light. I sat down and see a blue light out of the corner of my eye. My eye shot down and it vanished. I hear what seems to be a faint giggle. Not knowing if it was my children or the creatures, I get up and head back to bed. The battle with gravity, unfortunately, hadn't ended yet. I get back into bed, shut my eyes, and feel something cold touch my cheek, like they were saying goodbye. When my fiancé came home from out of state, we spoke about what happened. We wound up having a shared dream that we both think plays a part into my experience. I don't have proof, so if you need proof to believe, then this isn't for you. I don't expect you to believe me, but for the few that may have experienced similar, let me know, please. I'd love to feel like I'm not alone. Well, that was an interesting story. Let me be clear, you guys. For the most part, the stories that we read here, in my mind, they're just stories. I don't put a lot of stock into them. Could they be real? Possibly. Are they? Probably not. So this is the one where, this is one of the ones where I'm definitely leaning towards probably not. But either way, I think it's a really creepy, interesting story, so it makes for good entertainment regardless of whether it's true or not. Let's read some of the comments. Oh, the first comment says, quote, as she stroked my long amber hair, end quote. Who actually writes like that? AI does. And people are agreeing, but OP replied and said it's not AI, but you don't have to believe me, blah, blah, blah. It does kind of sound like AI, but again, nonetheless, it's still a very interesting story. It's giving like abducted by aliens, obviously, but also like pod people. Like if you've seen that movie, I don't remember exactly what it's called. Is it called The Pod People? No, I don't know what it's called, but if you know, you know. Let's see. Some of these comments are too long. I recently had my first encounter with what was probably an alien entity. It's a very strange experience. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, somebody asked what was the dream you shared, because I would like to know the husband side of the story too. Like if this is real, what was the shared dream, Anyway, that was a nice little spooky teaser. Let's move on to the next one. Sorry, I'm gonna take a sip of water too. Join me for a sip of water. Everybody take a minute to hydrate, okay? This one is from the True Scary Stories subreddit, and it's called My Friend Said His Grandfather Never Left That House. I wasn't planning to write this, but I saw a post earlier about haunted houses and it hit me like a punch in the gut. I haven't thought about that summer in years, but now I can't stop. I grew up in a small Bulgarian town, and when we were teenagers, we used to go exploring. Old factories, abandoned schools, that kind of thing. You know, dumb stuff. One of my friends, Miro, said his grandma had this house out in the countryside a few kilometers from my town. Nobody had lived there since his grandpa died. He said we could go there for the weekend. Quote, no one will bother us. We can drink and smoke in peace. End quote. The moment we saw the place, I got this weird feeling. The kind where your stomach stinks before anything even happens. It was one of those old one-story houses with a broken fence and a yard full of weeds taller than your knees. The windows were covered in grime, and there was this musty smell that hit you as soon as you opened the door. Inside, everything was exactly how someone might have left it 50 years ago. Old wooden furniture, yellowed lace curtains, family photos so faded you couldn't make out the faces. On the wall in the living room was a big round clock. Its hands were stuck at 12. We joked about ghosts at first, like any group of teenage idiots, but after midnight, when the laughter died down and the beer cans emptied, it got quiet. Too quiet. Around 1 a.m., I went outside to take a leak. I remember how bright the moon was. The air was still, almost heavy. I was zipping up when I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, heavy, deliberate. I froze, turned around. Nothing. Just the wind moving through the grass. I went back inside and told Miro someone was walking around the yard. He looked at me, dead serious, and said, "That's normal. It's just Grandpa. He died here, but he never really left." I laughed at first, waiting for him to crack a smile. He didn't. Before I could even say anything, something thumped from the next room. A heavy sound, like a chair tipping over. We all looked at each other. That room was completely empty. Then came another sound, a slow dragging, like wood scraping across the floor. And then, tick. We turned toward the old wall clock. Its second hand, which had been frozen since we got there, started moving, not forward, not backward, but both. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. One of the guys said, "What the hell?" under his breath. The sound filled the room, louder and louder, echoing off the walls like there were 100 clocks ticking out of sync. That's when the lights flickered. No one said a word. We just ran outside. We lit cigarettes and shaking hands. The night felt colder now, like the air itself had changed. Miro lit one extra cigarette and stuck it upright in the dirt. "For Grandpa," he said quietly. We stood there, watching it burn. The tip glowed red, then faded, then red again, like someone was taking slow drags. When it burned down to the filter, Miro just stared at the ash. After a while, we decided to go back in. The living room felt different, heavier somehow. The air smelled faintly like smoke, though none of us had smoked inside. And the clock, it was working again. The hands were moving, smoothly. 2:57 a.m. We just stood there, staring, and when the hands reached 3 exactly, the ticking stopped. That perfect silence, I still remember it. You don't notice how loud silence can be until it feels alive. Miro's face went pale. He just said, "He's gone," and walked outside. We left not long after that. None of us said much on the way home. It's been years, and that house is probably gone now, but sometimes when I'm up late and the world's dead quiet, I swear I can hear that same clock ticking. Tick-tock, tock-tick. I don't believe in ghosts, but I never asked Miro what happened to his grandpa, and I don't plan to. Woo, spooky. That is a creepy story. That's so creepy. Not the ghost smoking a cigarette, though. That's so weird. So strange. But I mean, at least the ghost wasn't trying to hurt anybody. It was just his grandpa, right? Still terrifying. And you would never have caught me in that house. From jump, I would not have been anywhere near that house. Don't even invite me. I'm not coming. There's not really many comments on this one. It's fairly new. It's just from 3 days ago. Yeah, there's only one comment. They're like terrifying. Yeah, we get it. It's scary. Okay, this one's a little shorter. It's from the paranormal subreddit. It's called Possibly Haunted Childhood Home. And there's an update as well. Okay. Basically, these things happened when I was 13 to 14. I'm 22 now. In my bedroom, there was multiple incidents where I thought there was something in my room. The first one happened when I was about to go for a nap, and I was facing the wall, so my back was to the rest of the room, and I felt something brush down my back. I thought it was my cat, so I turned around to pick him up, and he wasn't there. So I checked everywhere in my room, but I couldn't find him, and my door and window were closed. The second incident happened in the middle of the night, where my incense holder flew across my room and landed on my skateboard the right way up. It made such a loud bang that it woke me up. I'm a heavy sleeper. Nothing would wake me up, especially at that age. The third incident happened at like 2 a.m. and I was awake watching TV when I saw a face in the window. So I didn't sleep until the morning, but it was there the next night. So I thought it was dirt on my window, and it was there for I think a week until it just disappeared. I don't know whether my childhood room is haunted or if I'm just freaking myself out. Okay, before I read the update, this is crazy stuff. This is wild. First of all, something brushing down your back. Insane. No way. It's touching you. No way. Absolutely not. And then the incense holder flying across the room. How do you explain that? Quickly. How do you explain that? And then the third one was what? The dirt on the window. First of all, why didn't you check if it was dirt on the window? How could you leave that there for a whole week and not investigate? You know? Especially if you're gonna stay, like, obviously you have no choice, you're a child, you have to stay living in the house. So I would be like, Mom, there's dirt on my window, can we clean it? And if it's not dirt on the window, then we have bigger problems. Let's read the update. I had recently visited my childhood home, and I had stayed in my bedroom. The last thing I said before this update happened again. The face I saw before is still burned into my memory, so I would know if it was the same one, but it was a different face. I was there for a few weeks since I was on summer break. The next incident happened when I was getting ready to go out. I sat on my bed, putting my shoes on when I felt the bed dip down like someone was sitting on it, but I thought it was my cat. He's a chunker. But when I looked over there, there was nothing, and the bed looked like there was a dip in it. I don't know what to do anymore when I finish college. The cost of living is too expensive, and it seems that paranormal things are starting up in the room again. I feel this is necessary, but when I was 13, I had been struggling with religion, so I was trying different religions, and one of those religions were Satanism. I'm an atheist now. I feel like I brought this activity on myself. Well, that's a little harsh. Satanism, you know, maybe you did. Maybe you did bring it on yourself, friend. Now you have to figure out how to get it out. Your childhood home is definitely haunted and could very likely be your fault. spirits or demons, but they better figure it out. Yeah, comments say definitely may have opened a door. Consult someone with experience. If smudging isn't done correctly, the activity can become worse or entities can become trapped. Have the house and the room blessed by a serious pastor or someone of the like. Yeah, but like if you have a pastor come to your house and you're an atheist, is that really gonna work for you? I don't know. That's spooky. I hope they're okay. They just posted that 6 days ago. They gotta figure that out soon. That's creepy. I really do wonder, like, if your beliefs have anything to do with how spirits and things like that interact with you, you know? Or is it just, is it not based on belief and it's just based on, like, who you are as a person? I don't know. I'm just babbling, you guys. Okay, last story. This one is from True Scary Stories and it's titled Weird Dream. I Think I'm Possessed. This one's a little lengthy. Oh, and it's like labeled NSFW, so. Oh, I remember skimming this earlier and I think it's just like some profanity and sexual activity. I'll put a little thing on the screen right here. Okay, just look for the little thing over the trigger warning. Alright, here we go. On this night, October 11th, 2025, I had a dream that felt so vividly real that I assume that I'm possessed right now. I hope not. I pray to God the Savior, Lord above, that I'm not. In that dream, which I'm now slowly forgetting, but I'll try to write it down from where I can remember, I also apologize in advance about my writing. English is not my first language. There were 2 women who I met in that dream. One was an old classmate, one was another, I couldn't remember. I told the other one about diamonds, since the dream I had slightly divulged into Minecraft for a bit. It was quite the fever dream, but doing so, I had a black pouch full of diamonds. I guess I'm just watching a lot of series because the pouch of diamonds specifically looks like that one pouch on, I think, Tacoma PD show or the 911. I don't know. It was an episode where the old guy stashed the diamonds in the ambulance and they discovered it. Anyway, I sold the diamonds until there was 2 left. 2 small diamonds, probably the size of clumped table salt, slightly larger. Then I met the woman. It was a white female woman. I don't know her specifics. We talked for a bit, then she was gone. But the only woman I distinctly remember, since I ended up having sex with her, was my former classmate. I won't mention her name, but I showed her the 2 diamonds as a sign of thanks for letting me meet the white woman. I supposed it was her friend, assuming the circumstances. Then we both got into my room and I asked for the deed, in which we went to town immediately. It was passionate, like really passionate. Then it turned hungry, biting, licking, all that. Then rough. Fast forward to after. I was now in a random food place outside talking to people, trying to convince them to come with me for a chat. I was talking to them with confidence and also doing wordplay, which they found a bit interesting. It was at that time that I assumed I was getting controlled due to the lust I felt whenever I talked with women. Then, as soon as I started talking, the world shifted again. I was now in my room, laying down, trying to sleep. There were some voices that I heard, but not that demonic at first. I was covering myself under the blanket when all of a sudden, it was getting hard to breathe. I tried to breathe in, but I couldn't. I was gasping for air. I was getting some air, but I still had trouble breathing. Then I heard the voice of my little sister enter the room. I was assuming that she thinks I'm possessed due to the way I was breathing. She was scared. To put into context, I don't know if it's my sister. I'm just assuming since the voice was similar. What really confirmed my suspicions, or at least fueled my idea that I'm possessed, was when my sister started speaking in what I think is Latin. She was gasping for air. Wait, what? Oh, she was speaking, and my body was responding. My body would shake, my mouth agape, gasping for air. My body would lift itself, but I still had some semblance of control as I held onto the bed. But what I assumed that I looked like was different. Then she stopped speaking. I thought it was the end, but no, my body was still writhing. At first, I felt light. Then I heard footsteps getting closer to the bed. Then I felt something heavy on top of my chest, like someone straddling on you. It was heavy. Then it started speaking again in Latin, still in my sister's voice. I also responded in Latin. That was the scariest part. I still had control of my body in that dream. I was at first-person view, and yet I'm seeing words, deliberately in Latin, that I think I understand, yet at the same time, I don't. After the presence left, I still felt heavy. I was still in the bed, gasping for air, my mouth agape, and I called out to the Lord at that time. I was desperate. I cried out, "Lord, please help me. I'm at my lowest right now. Please. I know I did wrong. Please." I could barely say it since my voice was raspy. Then, as I felt the presence slowly get off, I peeked out of my blanket. There was nothing outside, but I could hear my mother, father, and sister in the sala. Sala means living room. Oh, I lost my place. Oh, they were scared. So what I did was push my body, forcing it to get up. I got up from the bed, and I was still gasping for air. My mouth was still open, and when they saw me, they were shocked and definitely terrified. I'm pretty sure by that time they knew I was possessed. You know what I assumed that I looked like at that time? Dark eyes, like that of an endless void, mouth agape, like inhumanly stretched, and my voice was raspy. They saw me, and I'm sure they were itching themselves. I mean, I would if my son came out of the room like that. But still, I didn't go near them. It was maybe by instinct, because I assumed that I would hurt them, so I didn't. I can barely talk to them, but I relayed to them a message. "Ma, Pa," I said in a raspy voice. They were shaking and hugging each other. They were scared that I might do something horrible next. "Call the priest, please," I said, while doing the sign of the cross. "Please." Then after that, I awoke from the dream. My chest still felt heavy. My mouth was agape. It was 4:33 a.m., and as of the time I'm writing this, it's 5:11 on my time. I'm still shaken. I didn't leave the bed for a few minutes since I assumed that I really went through all that, and I'm sweaty. My palms and feet are. I probably won't update and just try to fix this in private. I also don't have the heart to share this to my parents. I'm probably going to visit a church tomorrow for prayer. Wish me luck. Wow, good luck, OB. Good luck, OB. That is crazy. And there's no comments on this one, just a couple of upvotes. I hope that OB gets the help that they need. I don't know about, I'm not very knowledgeable on this topic, but it doesn't sound like they're possessed. Maybe they are possessed. Honestly, I'm not even going to speak on it because I don't even want to put that kind of energy out into the universe in my space. But yeah, I hope that they get the help they need. That is really, really terrifying. Even if it was just a dream and it's not anything more sinister, it's really, really concerning to have a dream like that. It's a really disturbing dream. Well, you guys, that is all for tonight's video. I hope you all have enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of these stories in the comments. Again, if you have any spooky stories that you'd like for me to share, I can do so anonymously. You can email me or DM me on Instagram or TikTok. All of these socials, and I will see you. I will see you